What's going on, everybody? Fearless Beatz here, and today we're going to talk about how to sidechain your kick in 808 the right way. I'm not talking about compressing that shit and making it sound awful. This is how the pros do it. Let's jump in and start looking at this right now. And guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. I upload new videos every single Monday, so there's high quality music production tutorials in Ableton every Monday for you to watch. Anyways, let's get right into this. Guys, right now, I just have a basic beat set up, a kick in 808, a snare and hi-hat, and a melody. And this is what we're sounding like right now. Alright guys, just a couple pro tips before we start going here. One thing that I'm doing with my 808 right now is I have it delayed 15 milliseconds. Okay, you can see that over here on the right hand side. If that's not an available option for you, you have to click this D down here. That shows the delay that you can put on each of your things. So you click that D and I put a little 15 millisecond. You can change it, whatever feels good to you. And that way it's just behind the kick a little bit, so it gives the kick a little time to play. And you don't need to do that compressing bullshit. Alright, so that's the first tip. The second tip is just to obviously make sure your kick and your 808 are in mono, okay? I have a mono thing on here just in case. Who knows if they are or not. Also, make sure the voices is on 1 if you're using samples for both the kick and 808, okay? That makes sure only one voice is playing, and that way nothing's clashing, and it can sound as nasty as we need it to. Alright, so let's move on to the sidechaining. Alright guys, so there's two different ways that I'm going to talk about that you can do this sidechaining. Now the first way is using Ableton's EQ. You can use this with pretty much any stock EQ that you have in any DAW. The second way that I'm going to be talking about is using FabFilter Pro Q3, and that way is a lot easier and a lot nicer. So if you have Pro Q3, go ahead and skip forward to that section. Otherwise, check this out. We can get the same effect with Ableton's EQ. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put an Ableton EQ on the kick and the 808. Just a regular EQ 8. And I'm just weird, so I'm going to put it before the mono. Before the limiter. Okay, so basically the first thing that we want to do is find the root frequency that our kick is in. Okay, I'm using C on my kick. So you can go online and Google the different note that you're on. And let's say you're not on a C. Okay, you can say it here. You can see them here. So at C, we have 130. If you're on a D with your kick, you have 146, and so on and so forth. Okay? So you also see that this C right here is a C3, and that is what our kick is. So this is the right frequency, 130. So knowing that, we can go into our kick right here, into our EQ, and let's just go to the 130 hertz frequency, and we're going to boost it just a little bit. Alright, just a little bit in that range, just giving it an extra little flare so we know that it's going to be peaking at that range. Alright, so now let's go over to our 808, and on the EQ we're also going to find the 130 hertz spot. Okay, and we can leave it right there for now, but we're going to be dropping it and doing whatever. So right now we're going to leave it there. We know that our 2 spot is on the 130. So what we're going to do now, so if you didn't even want to automate it, if you're fine with just taking it out of the 808, you could just drop it here. Maybe take out about 3 or 4. Let's go for 4. You can take about 4 out, 4 or 5. And you could call it good there. But if you want to go one step further and make it just even better, what we're going to do here is we're going to set this back to 0. And we're going to try to modulate this, okay? So before we start modulating, we need to make sure that our kick is flattened, okay? We need to know actually how long that our kick is playing for. So I'm going to freeze this track. Cancel that. Before I do that, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to cut this EQ here, and then I'm going to freeze it. Alright, put that EQ back. Awesome. So now we can start modulating our 808 since we know how long each of the notes is. So we're gonna want to modulate the gain on this second part right here in the EQ. So we need to, oh look at that, it's already pulled up for us. So if you don't have it pulled up, you need to get EQ 8 to gain, since we're using the second one, okay? And the second one's already at 130 hertz. That's the root frequency that we found earlier. So now what we're gonna want to do is find where it starts and where it ends. So it pretty much ends right here and it starts right here. What we're gonna want to do is we're gonna pretty much want to duck this completely. So I'm gonna put another one right here. Okay, so we can get rid of, we're just gonna leave that there. So make your grid look just like this. And if you're using Windows, you would press Alt. If you have a Mac, you're gonna be pressing Option. And when you're holding it down, you're gonna see this little thing float up, that little half line, and you can hold it down and you can drag it. So we're just gonna make it come in abruptly at the end. So we're basically just ducking the sound right when the kick hits. And then it comes back, okay? And you can actually watch it on the EQ as it goes. Okay, so you can see that on the 808, it's ducking it when the kick hits, and when it stops, it stops. So in looking at this, one thing I would change is I would make the EQ a little smaller. That way it's kind of taking out more of the range, okay? Alright, so anyways, let's go back to the gain here. And what you would do is you would go ahead and copy this for each of the notes. So what you're going to want to do is press this plus button right here so that we can copy just the envelope. We don't want to copy anything else. You're going to go Command C, Command V for each of the kicks. Boom. So once you have all those laid out, you're good to go. Now we can listen to it and see how it's sounding. Let's see what the 808 sounds like. So really not even that disruptive. It's really nice, and it makes it sound really clean. So the thing that you can do, if you're not liking how it sounds, if you want to drag it out and make it longer, or you want to make it a shorter delay, you can go ahead and do that. Just dragging this over wherever you find is comfortable. And then you would go ahead and copy that over to each of the other notes. Okay, so that is the first method in sidechaining your kicks the right way. So now we're going to move on to Pro Q3, which is easier. You don't have to do all this automation. It does it for you. Let's look at that right now. Okay guys, so what you're going to want to do is put Pro Q3 on both the kick and 808. You guessed it, pretty much the same thing we did last time. So on the kick here, we're just going to raise it a little bit around the 130 hertz range, right? No biggie. Also, let's make sure this isn't in 0 latency. Put it in natural or linear. I usually use natural. And then we're going to move on to the 808 here. Okay, so for the 808, you're going to want to find that 130 hertz range. Once you find it, you are going to move back this outer ring right here. So it's normally going to be like this. It's going to be up, and you're going to just hold down on this ring, and you're going to drag it down. Drag it down to about, yeah, right between -3 and -6 is probably good. All right. Then what you're going to want to do next is you're going to click this little auto button, and you're going to make sure that this is highlighted. So it should be blue like that, okay? And that means that it is ready to arm. If that's not working for you right now, it might be because we have to do the next part first. So let's move on to that really quick. Okay, so what we're going to do to make this sidechain happen is you are going to left click over here, and you're going to say insert return track, okay? I have mine right here. I named it sidechain. Now what you're going to want to do for the audio too is you're going to set that to your 808. And once you set it there, it should automatically fill in this stereo sidechain right here. So that means it's going to be linked to the sidechain that we have going on our Fab filter. So now when you look at the Fab filter, you should have this option available if you didn't already to arm it. And when you start playing it, you should see that it does it on its own. Alright guys, and you can play around with these values and make it right. You can decrease or increase the Q value on here, whatever you want to do, whatever you think is going to work best. But that's how you modulate it, and it'll do it on its own. And guys, this is what sounds the best to me. So before we wrap up this tutorial, let's just take a quick listen to what we have. Alright, and this is the first one. Alright, so as you can see, they both work very, very well. Alright, but anyways, guys, that wraps up this tutorial on how to sidechain your kick and 808s the right way. This is how the pros do it. But anyways, guys, if you're not subscribed here yet, please leave me that subscribe. We're uploading new tutorials every single Monday. And hit that like button if you liked it. It really helps us out. We appreciate it. But anyways, guys, we'll be talking to you again very soon. Peace out. Yeah, hit me with that fearless shit.